حي على الفلاح.
So the person says, listen, but I have worldly problems. I am looking for a job, I can't find it. I am having problems with my family. I got into an argument with my neighbor. My boss hates me. What should I do? Listen to the word of Allah Rabbul Izzah. Whoever has taqwa of Allah, as in is conscious of Allah, aware of Allah, lives a life in obedience of Allah, Allah Rabbul Izzah says, I will make his situation easy. This is the promise of Allah Rabbul Izzah. Whoever has taqwa, Allah will make his situation easy. But you say, Ustaz, but I need money, I need wealth, financial difficulties. Allah Rabbul Izzah says, whoever has taqwa of Allah Rabbul Izzah, I will find a way out for him. If around you was concrete walls and there was no way out, Allah Rabbul Izzah says, I will find a way out for you when there is no way out for you. And I will provide for you from means you didn't ever imagine. I say the story and I'm saying it again. Hatim al-Asam was a righteous, pious man in the past. And this righteous wanted to go to Hajj. But the Hajj in those days used to take a long period. It wasn't 21-day trip like it is for us today. Used to take months on end. You used to go on camelback or through the ocean on ships and so on and so on. Difficult. So if you were going to go to Hajj, you wanted to make sure that there's enough food and stuff for your family. So Hatim looked at home and there wasn't enough to last the family till his return. So he sat in a mashura table with the family and said, I want to go to Hajj, but the financial situation is like this. So the wife said, listen, Khair, don't go. And the children said, listen, don't go. Because, you know, the food will run out, the provisions will run out, who will look after us? But Hatim had one righteous daughter. And the righteous daughter tells him, Ya Abi, tawakkal ala Allah. Make tawakkul ala Allah. You are not the Razzaq. Inna Allah huwa al-Razzaq dhul quwwati al-mateen. Allah is the provider. Go to Hajj. So Hatim, empowered with this advice of a young girl, packs up and sets off to Hajj. Now the family are at home. And sometime later the food and provisions run out. And the mom and the other children start to blame this young girl. You and your big mom. Now who's gonna provide? Where are we gonna get food from? So the young girl goes to the back room and looks up towards the heaven and raises her hand and she says, Ya Rabb, anta qulta wa qawluka al-haq. ومن يتق الله يجعل له مخرجا ويرزقه من حيث لا يحتسب ومن يتوكل على الله فهو حسبه. Oh Allah, you said in your word is the truth that whoever has taqwa, you will find a way out for them and give them from means they didn't anticipate. So as her dua finishes, there's a knock on the door. And she goes and opens the door and it is the imperial guard. The royal guard, or the guard of the governor, and asking, how can I help you? He says, listen, the governor's crossing through the suburb and he's thirsting and he's asked us to get some water for him, so be kind enough as to provide us a bowl of water for the governor. So the young lady goes and makes a nice bowl of water and gets a nice pot of water and makes it clean and presentable and goes and gives it to the guard. Take this to the governor. So the governor drank it and he found satisfaction in the drink. No, Allah put satisfaction in the drink. So when he finished, he said, where did you get the water from? So the guard said, from the house of Hatim. So the governor said, that righteous Hatim? He said, yes. So the governor said, we have to go say salam to him. So the guard says, Ya Amir, he's not here, he's gone to Hajj. So the governor said, oh, Allah made the governor safe. Then it is upon us to look after his family until he returns. Then it is upon us to look after the family until he returns. So reaching to his belt, he pulls out a little purse. You know, the old bags that they used to carry the gold coins in. Little bag of gold coins. And he throws it into the house of Hatim. But Allah Rabbul Izzah wished to increase. So he looks at his men and says, whoever loves me, do as I have done. So all the men pull out their gold purses and throw it in the house of Hatim. And pretty soon the floor is covered with gold coins and the young girl starts to cry. So the mom says, woe be unto you, why are you crying? We are the richest people in the city. So the young girl said, a human looked at us with compassion for a moment. Look at what happened. Imagine if Allah Rabbul Izzah were to look at us with compassion. قال سبحانه ومن يتق الله يجعل له مخرجا ويرزقه من حيث لا يحتسب. When we were students, the story came that one of the local brothers wanted to go overseas to study Deen, but he didn't have any money. So he spent some time crying and asking Allah Rabbul Izzah, Ya Rabb, help, I want to go and study your Deen. They say he came to Fajr Salah, and this was renowned amidst us. We were there and I know the man. They say he came for Salah, and a brother touched him on his shoulder. And he said, imagine, remember this time ago me and you were involved in this business. Here's your share of that money, I have to go. So as I went, looked and I couldn't find him, went after him, he wasn't there. Allah Rabbul Izzah says, وَمَنْ يَتَّقِ اللَّهِ يَجْعَلْ لَهُ مَخْرَجًا وَيَرْزُقْهُ مِنْ حَيْثُ لَا يَحْتَسِبُ. I heard from our Shaykh Muhammad Hassan Hafidahullah. He said, I was in Hajj in Mecca, and I was making tawaf around the Kaaba, and I saw an elderly man from Yemen. And his hands he has raised up high, and he's making dua passionately and longingly to his Lord. And the Shaykh said, seeing him, I was taken by him, so I came behind him and stood some distance away and prayed to rak'ah, and watching him, just his relationship with his Lord and him longing and begging Allah Rabbul Izzah, I sat there watching him and crying. And he goes, he made dua for a long while like this. And then he goes, I saw one of the brothers, you know, looked like a local Saudi brother, came to him and said salam to the elderly man who's making dua. And the man didn't hear him, he just continued his dua. So this brother walked a few steps away and then came back and pulled out from his pocket some bundles of notes and placed it between the legs of the Shaykh who's making dua. So the Shaykh lowered his hand and then raised it again and continued in his dua. And then lowered it and looked between his, like under his feet, and he saw the bundles of money. then raised his hand, made dua again, then lowered himself and looked at the money as in felt it or counted, then raised his hand in dua again. So the Shaykh says, I went and asked him, I said, listen, for the sake of Allah, explain to me what is this? What just happened? So he said, who are you? I said, don't worry about who I am, explain to me what happened. He goes, no one knows my difficulty except for my Lord. And I didn't ask any but my Lord. And Allah Rabbul Izzah gave me double or triple what I asked for. And Allah Rabbul Izzah says, وَمَنْ يَتَّقِ اللَّهِ يَجْعَلْ لَهُ مَخْرَجًا وَيَرْزُقْهُ مِنْ حَيْثُ لَا يَحْتَسِبُ.